guys, welcome back again from Tampa Bay. Today I've got a review of the 2018 Triumph Speed Triple RS. This is their top of the line model, and it has all the gadgets and gizmos. I'm especially interested in this because I'm riding as one of my bikes the 2017 Yamaha FZ09, obviously a direct competitor. Right away, the seating position is very different. There is more of a forward slope to this. Peg position is much higher. This one does have a quick shifter, which I'm now used to. Very smooth engine. There's almost no vibration. The seat is very sport bike-like, where I am hugging the tank. I'm very plugged in. It's a nice feel. It is a very nice, confident, inspiring feel to the seat. It's supporting me in the right places. I won't be able to tell you any kind of long-term data on this, but we'll see how it feels. The suspension is very firm. I actually like it a lot, and it should be feeling very good because this is their most upgraded suspension. You've got 3 models of the Speed Triple, all with the same frame and all basically the same engine. The base model has the lowest spec everything. Their mid model, the R, gets you a slightly upgraded suspension. They're a little bit bigger tubes and something like 5 millimeters more of travel. And then this RS gives you full-on race suspension, fully adjustable, front and rear, and it is actually feeling wonderful. I have no idea where it's adjusted. I'm 250 pounds. 6'2", 32-inch inseam. It's eating up all these little bumps. This is the same way we came here on the FZ09. The FZ09 was definitely bouncier. This eats up the road and feels just like my FJR, which is an ES model with their top-of-the-line suspension and absolutely rides wonderfully. This is right up there. I absolutely wish the FZ09 suspension felt like this one. Bike-wise, this one feels a lot heavier. I don't know how much heavier it is, but it feels chunkier. The geometry feels much more sport bike-like. The way it holds its line, the way it wants to turn, it's not quite as much as a bicycle feeling as the FZ09. That's much more of a standard naked model. This definitely feels more raked. And with the way I'm plugged into the tank here and the way the seat's gripping me, it's a smaller seat, even though I have the pretty much identical comfort seat on the FZ09 where I have the step behind my butt. This one also has that built in. And I have virtually no wiggle room. I've got maybe an inch behind my butt. Other than that, my nuts are on the tank. But it's still a good riding position. The pegs are much higher up and more rearward than a standard bike. Again, kind of in between your standard and a sport bike rear set. Not exactly an impressive sound. This does not sound much like a triple. There's almost no exhaust growl. Even the stock FZ09 exhaust has a lot more sound. This sounds like an inline 4, pure and simple. You have a little bit of an intake growl, and that's about it. I hear the intake more than the exhaust. It's very quiet, extremely smooth. I have no vibration in whatever rev range I'm in. It feels exactly the same. Sounds the same. So it doesn't have the triple character that I'm used to, but that's okay. This is probably the coolest dash I have ever seen. Number one, it's full color TFT, and it is perfectly readable here in direct sunlight. I've now been with it on my back, to the side, shadows. It's working flawlessly. This does have more top end power than low. As I go up in the rev ranges here, it does pull slightly harder. So it's more of a top-end bike if you're looking for that. Goes very well with the feel and the vibration in the bike itself. So that's a nice pairing. This display is very configurable. I'm not going to go through all the different modes here because I want to get a feeling for the rest of the bike, but it has all the information you could ever want. The gear indicator is a little animated thing. You've got a nice, big, high-resolution display on this thing. I see 0 pixels. I want this display on all my bikes. This is absolutely beautiful. So this RS adds a few other features other than the suspension over the R model or the standard S model. The quick shifter is standard on this, optional on the other two. The RS is the only one that offers a slip clutch, an assist slipper clutch. The other models don't even have it available as an option. That is something I'm very used to. I've had it on all my bikes for a while now. The quick shifter is very smooth. I believe it's upshift only. I didn't see anything about an auto blipper, so I'm not going to try it down. At 50 miles an hour in top gear, well, it's hard to say exactly what it's at because the RPM shows right at the 4 line. I don't know if that's got to be exactly what it's at. So 4,000 RPM in top gear. Oh, at 50. Okay. The suspension is really stiff over bigger bumps, manhole covers, and that little one I went over here, even that little pothole repair. Yeah, it's jarring through the pelvis, to say the least. The FJR does not do that. It will soak up the bigger bumps. This does have a track mode. We don't have any tracks around here, so it doesn't really do me any good. One thing I don't like is they have a clear brake reservoir here up on the front. I definitely prefer solid plastics. Otherwise, you just end up having to buy a koozie. Big intake growl when you get on it. That's really all you're hearing, but it sounds good. Cornering is very good. Definitely more sport bike than naked bike. You can tell where they got their pedigree. It is throwing me a little bit around on these bigger bumps, so that may very well just be the suspension not dialed into my weight. Might have the dampening up a little bit, but it's controlled. There is 0 bounce. I like that. It's a beautiful sound. Bar width is very good, very normal. You've got fully adjustable controls, and I believe they're on all the models. The R and the RS have unique LED lights. Standard model has LED, but they're slightly less high performance, I guess. These are all new, and the standards are just redone. This one has bar and mirrors. I don't know if they're standard or optional. There are tons of options that you can get on this. You can customize this like a Harley or like the FZ09. Tons and tons of factory parts. Transmission is butter smooth. No surprise there. The bike feels heavy though. It just doesn't feel flickable. It turns fine, don't get me wrong. But the way the weight is carried, it feels so solid right underneath you. Again, more like a sport bike than a standard. If you're looking for a naked street cruiser, this may actually not fit the bill for you. This is definitely sportier, more aggressive. Ah, that bump hurt. And I can already tell you that my ankles are cramping up just from the peg position. It is a little too short for me. My knees are bent to the extreme, very much like a sport bike. They're just not quite as angled, so my feet are more level, and it requires them to be bent up pretty far. Clutch engagement is a little hard to find. It's very far out and there's really no feel. I'm going by the sound of the motor. It doesn't have a lot of torque right off idle. You do have to slip it a little bit. Brakes feel great, and again, they should. They are full Brembo race brakes, front and rear. Got a nice radial mounted master cylinder too. That's got to help with the feel. They feel absolutely phenomenal. Quick shifter is smooth enough. Nothing unusual there. Feels like they've been doing it for years. Even though I don't care for the look of the bar end mirrors, they are working very well. With your hand on the grip, they are clear as a bell, no vibration. And I just see the skimming outline of my elbow. Beautiful picture in both. No complaints there whatsoever. Seat height is actually not too bad. I can stand up and I've got about an inch clearance, and they also have a low seating position option, and that alters both the seat and suspension. So if you are a shorter rider, you can get that shorter bike option. Feels pretty light. It does feel a little top heavy. Maybe that's due to a large tank and it's full of gas. Maybe it's just the way the engine is in the frame. But it definitely feels like you're more on top of the bike than in the bike. Shifting with the clutch is very smooth. No surprises there. It's a fairly light feel. On par with just about every modern bike. This is also a bike that you do need to support your torso with. If you're the type that wants to relax and put their weight on their wrists, you're going to be one that's complaining about numb hands and fatigued wrists. Because this does have a pretty good sport touring-like forward lean. It's not forward like a sport bike, but it is definitely not upright. Even, I don't know if you can see Josh in front of me here in the Thruxton, that's much more upright than I am here. I prefer it a little more upright for something like this, just going around town. Now, something I really appreciate on this is the frame-mounted headlights and dash. I much prefer frame-mounted everything. I'm not a fan of fork-mounted lights especially, but anything that moves. I'm used to having my lights and controls where I want them and being in the same place no matter what my bars are doing. And that really helps at night in sharp turns, which I learned the hard way on the FZ09 and had to add $500 in auxiliary lighting, because when you do a sharp turn and you have fork-mounted lights, especially with LEDs, well, you can't see anything. So that's a little bit of a problem, but no problem with these being fork-mounted, not fork, frame-mounted. I dig that. There is nothing on this that sticks out to me as far as looks, other than the turn signals, that I would want to replace or upgrade. This does have the standard US pumpkin-like lights. They're huge. Not a fan of them. I would go to smaller LED units, but that's up to everybody else to customize. Other than that, this thing is feeling very slick. It's got a lot of power, but it's definitely not the fastest bike I've ever ridden by a long shot. I would say top end, I don't know if it's going to be faster than the FZ09, but it's really darn close either way. Definitely give one a ride if you're considering the FZ09 and see what you like better, because they do have very different characteristics for sure. So that's it, guys. This has been the 2018 Triumph Speed Triple RS. See you next time.